Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and selamat sejahtera everyone. Today my group members of G5 and I will be discussing inflation in Malaysia, a crucial economic concept. Before I proceed, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nursyuhada Bt Mustaffa. My student ID number is MA/F/2024-M/13846. Okay, now we will go to introduction to inflation. Inflation refers to the general rise in price and the decline in the purchasing power of the money over time. Essentially, when inflation occurs, each unit of currency buys fewer goods and services. Types of inflation. Firstly, it's demand pull, which occurs when demand for goods and services exceeds supplies. Then the second one is cost push, result from an increase in the cost of production, leading to the higher prices. And lastly, it's built-in inflation, which tied to wage price spirals, where wages increase, leading to the higher prices. So, understanding this type of inflation helps us to see the various factors that can lead to inflation. Measuring inflation. Inflation is commonly measured using the Consumer Price Index or CPI, which tracks the average change in price paid by customers for a basket of goods and services. Another measure is the Producer Price Index or PPI, which reflects the change in prices received by domestic producers. Both indicators give us a picture of inflation from different perspectives. Next, the cause of inflation. There are multiple causes of inflation. Monetary factors like an excessive supply of money in the economy can lead to the inflation. Imbalance between demand and supply. External factors like global commodity prices and government policies such as tax changes also contribute to inflation. Understand these causes is vital for addressing inflation effectively. Impact of inflation. Inflation has both positive and negative effects. On the positive side, moderate inflation can encourage spending and investment, driving economic growth. However, the negative effects often outweigh the positives, especially when inflation is high. It reduces purchasing power and creates uncertainty in the economy, making it difficult to businesses to plan for the future.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohd Pirdaus. So I would like to present my part together with my group, Group 5, with the topic of inflation in Malaysia. So let's take a look into overview inflation in Malaysia. So the annual inflation rate Malaysian was 2.0% in July 2024. And coming slightly less than the market expectation of 2.1%, while keeping unchanged the third straight month trading economy, according to the Economic Forum 2024. So the key drivers, the food and energy prices, these have been major contribution to the inflation global price fluctuations. Other than that is a supply chain disruption. So the post-pandemic recovery and geopolitical tension have impacted supply chain. And also the government measures, price control and subsidies to manage the impact of essential goods. Government implemented price control and subsidies. So that's why government in Malaysia introduced a lot of programs that help the society. And also the monetary policy from the Bank Negara itself, BNM adjusted interest rate to manage the inflation pressure. Alright, next is about the inflation and economic performance. According to the Husain 2015, the link between inflation and economic growth is one of the most important controversial economic in literature. So widely believed that the moderate and stable inflation rates promote the good developments of a country. And also the moderate inflations supplement return to savers, enhance investment. So therefore, it accelerates the economic growth of any country. Inflation and also the economic performance are closely intertwined in any economy, including our country, Malaysia. And according to Mischenko et al. 2018, the understanding how inflation affects the economic performance in Malaysia requires examination of various factors, such as country monetary policy itself, the economic growth of any country, the employment status in the country, and also the income levels, society in that country. So, what about the factors? The Malaysian economic performance is influenced by the range factor, all right? So, including government policy, global economic condition, and also domestic economic activity according to the WOLOSA 2015. So, the first one is the GDP, or called as gross domestic product. So, Malaysia has a diverse economy with a significant contribution to the sectors like manufacturing, service, and also the agriculture. And then second factor is the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is a critical indicator of every economic performance in every nation. So that government needs to give more attention towards the unemployment rates. And the third factor is a fiscal and also the monetary policy. So the Malaysian government and Bank Negara Malaysia, which is the central bank of Malaysia, plays a crucial role in managing the economic performance, including managing the inflation in the country. Next is the relationship between the inflation and also the economic performance. There's always a relation between the inflation and also the economic performance. The first one, we look into the moderate inflation and growth. And a moderate level of inflation is often connected with a healthy economy, okay? And high inflation and economic stability. High inflation can destabilize the economy by reducing consumer and business confidence, according to Vinayagasan 2013, and also the low inflation or deflation. While low inflation is generally seen as a positive, deflation, however, a decrease in the general price level can be seen as an economic trouble, potentially leading to the reduced consumer spending and slowdown in economic growth. Low inflation or deflation we can see during the crisis COVID-19, where it reduced the consumer spending and affects the economic growth itself.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So next for my turn, my name Abdul Syafiq Ramlan. So I'm from Group 5 and I will present about way to combat inflation. So actually to overcome inflation or at least to managing its impact require coordinate efforts from government, business and individual. The goal is to maintain price stability while fostering economic growth. So there are few ways to combat or at least to minimize its impact. And from Malaysia perspective, Malaysia government perspective, one of them monetary policy by Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM), where with the adjustment of interest rate or for example the overnight policy rate OPR to influence inflation. And second, open market operation, where BNM also use open market operation to manage liquidity by buying or selling government securities. Next, subsidize and price control. For example, food and energy subsidize to mitigate the impact of rising global energy prices on businesses and consumers. The Malaysia government has provided subsidy on food and electricity. Second, for example, price control on essential goods. The government has imposed price ceiling, maximum price for essential items such as food, rice, cooking oil, and sugar. And the third one maybe also implement targeted price subsidies. For example, for essential commodities such as cooking oil and flour, the government offers targeted subsidy to low-income household and service sector to reduce the burden of inflation on vulnerable population and small businesses. So the third way to overcome inflation are fiscal policy adjustment. For example, our government previously implement targeted cash assistance. For example, during Prime Minister Najib Razak BRIM, and then Bantuan Penghasilan Rakyat BPR and Bantuan Keluarga Malaysia BKM. This program will provide direct cash transfer, inject cash to the economy to help low-income households. This help ease the financial burden. And the fourth one, labour market and wage control measure. For example, wage subsidy program. Through the wage subsidy program, the government provide financial assistance to employers to maintain their workforce without increasing labour costs. And the last one, the way to overcome inflation, special assistance package. For example, this one is to stimulate the economy. Previously, our government had introduced Prihatin Penjana during the COVID-19 pandemic to support industries through cash flow difficulty and inflationary pressures. And in my opinion, all this method of initiative helps to combat or at least to minimum impact of the inflation towards our economy. So that's all from my part. Thank you.
Hello, today I'm going to present about the challenges of the inflations. First point was the political tension global scale, which means how the inflations affect how the challenges with the against to the political tension, how they make the political tension. I give you one example, which means that attached at 2023, when the Houthi faced launch on cargo, that they have some problems for the supply crude oil in Malaysia, and also their price have been substantially like it's not stable, which means that they have when the Houthi and the on cargo they have meet some problems, so they have some effect during the supply the crude oil, and also they have a price not a stabling during that day, because they are if when they have against they have a problem during the supply oil not not very support the both companies. They have have a problem in a product distribution, also in a price. So by that they're dealing with the foods markets has been face issue on market supply, and by this case the political teams also and the political tension a middle of the this both field, and they have a middle of ministry handling the price growth with it, which means that they are have the face issued regarding for the we have we I think we have heard about it, that we have a face issue to supply the oil. Mostly the oil, they have the problems supplying the crude oils. So which means this is a problem for it in against the cargo and Houthi, which means they have a problems, and then they make a problems, and they're affected by the food markets and ministry, so they can get the political tensions, which means the political persons they got a tensions that how they are going to against from the our countries against the price, how they have faced the inflations regarding that. So next point was a strong demand from the consumer, which means everybody affected on the COVID times. So lots of the we have a lot of loss in our during the pandemic time, which means the maintaining the strong growth in 2023. We didn't have any business, even we need to try, at least we need to try. In Malaysia, they have facing a challenge during the pandemic time, even opening the biggest business or biggest any trend, because we are on during the pandemic time we didn't work anything. So by that, even we didn't go to the work, we also our Malaysians are also they're supporting improve our job market reductions from the extra savings, and also in a pandemic, and supporting to the government financial support, which means by use by online job, or they're work from home, even they do the job using the online platform. Even though we have in pandemic times, they keep supporting our Malaysians, keep supporting during the government face the issue during the pandemic time in a financial support, without their even like example, if they didn't do any online online using the online platform to do the work, just waiting for the pandemic release, our country will be affected. Of course will continue country will affected by the business, and affected by the financially support. So by this, our Malaysians are supporting to during the improve our job and improve our financial needs for our country. The third point was a decrease in a value of currency, which means that price controls between our Malaysians and foreign countries. As example, in US countries, we have a price control 7% depreciations of ringgit against the US dollar since 2022 could raise increase product of the foreigns, which means that on 2022 and also now we have depreciations with the foreign country currency and with us. When the foreign countries produce the product and distribute in Malaysia, so when the foreign countries have a highest currency, so when they distribute the product from Malaysia, so the price of the product in Malaysia was highest, so it will be affect to our Malaysians price distributes. So it will be increase the prices when the product of foreign products was even we can't able to do without doing any example. If we avoid to make any export or import products from the foreigners, they have an effect also in a company. And also even their highest rates in the foreigners also they have affected, so they have challenges during the decrease in value of currency. So the next point was